Yep, I found a cool one on Reverb. Let's document it. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. So I'm just scrolling through Reverb one day, thinking to myself, there hasn't been too many really interesting models get listed lately. And then bam, right there. Make the seller an offer, and then I get an email from him, hoping to make a deal where he can come and drop it off to me. But his wife had other plans, so he ended up having to ship it anyways. But it only took FedEx a day to get it here, so let's go ahead and check this thing out. But this 2022 custom ordered Les Paul Custom might look kind of familiar to you guys. Inside here, another one-eye beauty. It's a P90 Wraptail Les Paul Custom. Yes. This is certainly not a brand new idea by any means, but I think it's the first factory-ordered custom like this that I've officially seen leave the factory, because this is like a Jared James Nichols spec Les Paul Custom, except for in white instead of his signature ebony. However, his original Old Glory actually started life as a black Les Paul Custom that had a humbucker with a bridge and tailpiece setup. Now, he converted it into the Wraptail and then fit a dog ear P90 in there, and then now we've got all those Epiphone signatures, and then hopefully, eventually, we will get a full-on Gibson signature as well. But until then, here is a 2022 version of it just converted into white. So what do we call this? How about Mystic Glory? Something like that. I don't know. We can get romantic, or we can just enjoy this thing for what it is. A Les Paul Juniorified Les Paul Custom. Because you gotta remember, we checked out the Les Paul Senior, which was like a Les Paul Junior turned into a Les Paul Standard reissue, so it was only natural to pick this thing up for a full review and documentation. Which, just so matter-of-factly, I have the inverse of this guitar right now. Humbucker and P90, that's just hilarious, but this one is original JJN specs with the bridge and tailpiece, whereas this is like his converted one. And you're also going to see this one is a nice, beautiful glossy finish, whereas this one is a very high-quality satin. But this one's got the cool black and white mixture going on. This was a mod collection with a double stinger. I nicknamed it Ghost, but you can check it out in this episode right here, because today we're going to have to focus on this glossy beauty. Another cool thing about this particular custom order is the fact that it actually has the Les Paul Junior control layout as far as the knobs. They're up and down. Most guitars that get spec'd like this actually have it regular custom style, but diagonally. So these two just have their own things going on. But I was gutted to see this actually shipped from the factory with a pick guard, so we do have a little hole right there. So if you want it to look like this, you're going to have to live with that, but I'm going to have to see how it looks like with a pick guard on. But I'm loving this gold hardware paired with the white finish, with the white binding. Had they had done black binding on this, it probably could have popped even a little bit more. But the fact that this guitar hasn't aged at all in its finish yet makes it look so crisp and pristine. It's nice, I like it. You can hardly even tell that it has binding at all, or even on the back, until you see the in-between ebony layers. The only thing that would have made this better if it was an Access custom. Oh man, I really want to see that now. Slightly thinner body with the sculpted heel, still being a Wraptail. I've got a new custom order made to measure idea, that's for sure. Now you might say, why would anybody want just a one pickup Les Paul Custom? That doesn't make any sense. Well, you just have to try one to fully understand it. The only reason why they typically sell for more than a two pickup one comes down to rarity. Now, if they were to mass produce these all of a sudden, then yeah, I think you'd see the values drop. But since they are usually kept in very limited numbers, it kind of makes the prices a little bit wonky. But for me, it's having all this room right here to strum. You don't have a pickup pulling on your strings, so in theory, technically your strings can ring out a little bit more. For me, it's all about spacing. You don't have to worry about hitting anything and you can just go crazy. But what's the story on this one, you're asking? Well, I already told you, it's a custom order. It's a made to measure. It's not a particular run or anything, so as far as I'm aware, it's the only one made. However, it's possible it was a group batch for a dealer, but the COA just calls it a regular Les Paul Custom. And here's our pre-pack checklist. But to learn more about this weird one, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. In the process of recording this, the Music Zoo actually posted something very similar to this guitar. Now theirs is dressed up as a Black Beauty, kind of a 57 reissue in style, so it is a little bit different, but this one technically does predate that. But they did officially call it the Les Paul Custom Senior, so I don't know whether this one's technically one of those or not, but let's go ahead and take a look at this. There's no way to know what kind of a neck tenon we have, short neck or long neck, but based off of everything else I'm seeing here, it's probably just a regular Les Paul Custom with the short neck. But as far as our pickup in here, it's our regular dog ear P90 that they call the P90 dog ear reissue on this particular one. And within the circuit, this one reads 7.58 k ohms. And here you can see the pickup cavity route. And dog ears utilize this style cover, and they mount to the body right over here, whereas a soap bar, it actually mounts in between these two. And then you utilize a spring system. But as far as our wrap tailpiece here, it is lightweight aluminum. It is not the compensated version, so they're going for true vintage junior specs there. Then we've just got that master volume and master tone. No push-pull pots for any funky circuitry or anything like that. But that gives me a great idea for a guitar. It'd be controversial, but why don't we do this, but have absolutely no controls at all? Like it's just a direct out only. Maybe not the best for a live situation, but it would look so strange to not have any controls at all. After taking a look at the pick guard that was on here, I think I'm actually going to put it back on. Because look at this goofy thing. It's like oddly chunky because we're so used to seeing like a neck pickup route out of it. And when you put it on, here's the class factor. It covers over half of the dog ear tabs. So in my opinion, it really transforms the whole vibe. I mean, the only downside is, yeah, now you don't have that ultimate freedom I was talking about earlier because you're going to hit the side of the pick guard. But as far as condition-wise, this was not Gibson's best finishing work. You can definitely see some orange peeling effect in this area, right by the neck joint. That's pretty hard to get with your buffer. Now this is not the fault of Gibson, but somebody's forearm has actually discolored the binding and finish right here just a tad. Like I never noticed it until I threw it onto the workbench, but it is a slightly more ambered hue, which I'm impressed. Like, wow, this guy must have really corrosive sweat, because this thing's only a couple of months old. But the rest of the top is in okay shape. Nothing too major to note until we get onto the back. Got your typical ebony on here with your mother of pearl block inlay, 22 medium jumbo style frets, a nut width of 1.67 inches, that increases to 2.07 by the 12th. First fret neck depth of 0.86, that increases to a full 1 by the 12th. Pretty much your standard medium neck profile shape that you find on all Les Paul Customs in the modern era. Somewhere around a 16-degree headstock pitch, with approximately a 4-degree neck pitch, and lastly a 12-inch fretboard radius. As far as the headstock goes, you've got a Les Paul Custom truss rod cover. Truss rod's looking fine in there. Just all your typical Gibson appointments for a custom. But somebody has upgraded our tuners on this one to locking grovers. It just came stock with regular grovers. Also important to note that somebody has swapped out our truss rod cover screws for longer black ones. Normally they're shorter gold. Moving on to the backside, when this was sold to me, there were some black smudges back here that was there since they were sent it from the dealer. Thankfully, I was able to clean most of it off, because previously they were thinking it was actually under the finish. But there's definitely like a few black smudges. This is, you know, an all-white guitar. It's going to be prone to that kind of stuff. But I really wish they would just give one of these the Les Paul Junior style route. But my guess is they don't actually have one that is pre-programmed thick enough for a Les Paul Custom, like they do for the regular Les Paul Juniors, so that's probably why you still get the 4-control route back here, even though we are only utilizing 2. But you've got your bumblebee capacitor and all your regular custom shop style pots, your output jack along the edge, and your strap buttons in the usual locations. And we are utilizing thin binding in the cutaway on this model. It's just your standard mahogany neck back here. We've got your Gibson custom decal. Here's our new locking grover tuners and our serial number dating it to 2022. Now, unfortunately, we do have a pretty gnarly finish check right here stemming off the nut. I have 100% confidence that that is only in the finish, but it is kind of ugly. But thankfully, the side that you see only has a very tiny one stemming off there. But all said and done, not a bad weight, 8 pounds, 11.9 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Something about this guitar is just ridiculously slinky feeling. I don't know if these are 9-gauge strings and I'm used to playing 10s, or if it really does just come down to not having that neck pickup and it being a wrap tail. It's really easy to do bends on this one. The other thing I'm noticing is it's a very resonant guitar. The whole thing is just vibrating. Like, this is a good one, trust me. Now that we know all about this Les Paul Senior Custom, or whatever you want to call it, what are my final thoughts on this thing? I liked it better than the regular Les Paul Senior, but it's just because it's all a super fancy blinged out Les Paul Custom, except for with a single P90. In fact, I think it'd be really cool to see this, but done up with triple dog ear P90s. I mean, it would basically be the opposite of what this is. Nice, free moving, you don't have to worry about all this plastic in your way by adding additional plastic on the top by doing the dog ears, but man, would that thing look cool or what? But I really enjoyed this iteration of the one pickup Les Paul Custom, but I tend to enjoy them. So if you know how to work your volume and tone controls, you can definitely get some other tones. Did I find myself missing the neck pickup? Yeah, a little bit. But sometimes you just need something to inspire you. So, if you ever see a one pickup Les Paul Custom, I do suggest checking them out. They're a little bit weird and quirky at first, but I think you'll come to really enjoy them, as many people have. If you're interested in being the next owner of this particular one, you can find it on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. Alright, Troglodytes, thank you for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, how about you check out this crazy one? I called it The Mummy. It was a custom color from the 90s that also only had a single P90.